All right, I'm Coleman Fleming. This is my audience. Hi, I'm Coleman Fleming. Today I'll be talking to you about servant leadership. There are many different forms of leadership used in the world. If you're not learning about leadership or in a leadership role, you might not be familiar with many of them. One of these forms of leadership is servant leadership. That's an interesting name, isn't it? Servant leadership. You're probably asking yourself, how can one be a servant and a leader at the same time? That sounds impossible, doesn't it? Today I'm going to explain to you what servant leadership is, how to implement it, and how it can help your company. So what is servant leadership? Servant leadership is a form of transformational leadership that originated from James Burns in his 1978 book titled Leadership. A servant leader empowers and supports team members by putting their needs first so they can do their jobs more effectively. A servant leader asks a simple question: what can I do for you? So how does one implement servant leadership? To implement servant leadership, one must share their authority, responsibilities, and benefits with their employees. Servant leadership requires a selfless approach, always thinking about those working under you. The needs of the team are a priority. A servant leader is dedicated to the success of their employees, and everything is viewed as a team effort with encouragement and helpfulness. A servant leader must involve employees in the decision-making process, making it a collaborative effort. Decisions are based on what is most beneficial to everyone on the team. A servant leader puts all personal glory aside and focuses on positive results. Servant leadership requires empathy with thought given to how employees feel and are affected by decisions. A servant leader communicates well with employees, listening to ideas and crediting their accomplishments. A servant leader helps employees do whatever is needed to get the job done. This can require a degree of humility in a servant leader. A servant leader must be able to handle criticism and admit when they are wrong, as employees are more involved in the decision-making process. So what are the advantages of servant leadership? Servant leadership improves the well-being of its followers and improves employee performance by creating an ethical work environment. A servant leader serves as an ethical role model, contributing to a culture where doing the right thing is expected and encouraged. Organizations using servant leadership receive higher performance, increased creativity, and more ethical behavior, all while suffering from less employee turnover. The servant leadership style results in a greater enthusiasm from workers, more energy and time spent on customer satisfaction, and times with greater loyalty from both. These changes in culture, happiness, and energy result in greater financial success for the company going forward. Servant leadership does have some minor disadvantages. One is that it simply might not be the preferred leadership style for some organizations wanting a more traditional leadership role. Another is that unless the company was started using servant leadership, it might be very difficult to implement servant leadership. It would take a serious commitment from leadership to change the way they lead and to allow employees to participate in the decision-making process. For those leaders that have been in a traditional leadership role for a long time, this might be very challenging. Some managers may not managers may not understand the role and servant leadership style. While encouraging growth and input, a leader must be careful not to give up all control. It could be challenging for leaders to succeed and keep their identity in a employee-first system. Another disadvantage of servant leadership is that with more employee involvement in the decision-making process, decisions take more time. This is simply because of the more input and discussion, but it could be a problem in situations where decisions need to be made quickly. In conclusion, while servant leadership might not be the right choice for every organization, with the right leader and in the right situation, it can be very advantageous. Servant leadership has proven to result in better company culture, employee and customer happiness, and increased financial success. Many companies are already using servant leadership and having great success. If not implemented, it should at least be looked at by every organization. Servant leadership is the leadership style of the future, and in a changing society where employees are proving to be more and more important, servant leadership is the best choice of leadership. Thank you. I'll pan to my audience that's still present, and